Succah Daf Yud Beis. I am now traveling. I'm in Ir HaKodesh, Chicago. So we're going to do away without the emails. And Be'ezer Hashem will try to keep on pace. So Succah Daf Yud Beis, the Gemara tells us that according to Rebbe Akiva, in the Midbar, the sukkahs were not a nana kavod, but rather they were real sukkahs. And if so, perhaps they were made out of items that were mekabel tumah. So how does Rebbe Akiva learn that schach in our days cannot be mekabel tumah and has to grow from the ground? Because it says in the pasuk, be'ospecha migarnecha umikvecha. Psoilas goyim yakev, the leftovers of the grain and the grapes, but not the grain itself and the wine itself. There's actually a place in Sneer that they used to congeal the wine, so perhaps you put congealed wine in the schach, because it says migarnecha, from the goyren, from the yakev, and not the goyren itself. Rachizah says, it says in a pasuk in Ezra, when it comes to building a sukkah, it says twice hadas. You should make it out of hadasim. And the Gemara tells us, as the pasuk says, Haviu alei hadas ve'eitz avos, hadas and eitz avos. In other words, one pasuk is to tell us you take a hadas and you put it together with a lulav and the arava, and the other one is referring to a hadas shaita, where the three leaves are not on the same plane, and that one you use for schach. In other words, the rest of the pasuk, everything in the pasuk is gedule mikarka, and it's not mekabel tumah. Says the Mishnah, if you take a bundle of straw and you put it on top of your sukkah in order to dry it out, and then you decided at the end you don't want to dry it out, you want to use it for a sukkah. That's the isser of tasav elimin also. When you put the schach on, it has to be kosher schach for the sukkah. And Chacham made a gzeira that even if you put it to begin with for schach, you can't use it gzeira soitzer, because you might come to use a storehouse where you put it up there to dry out. Rabbi Elchanan proves this from the lashon of the Mishnah. It says ein mesachachim bahem, that if you come to ask a question, they'll tell you it's usher to be mesachach like that midrabanan. But midiraisa, if you put it up there for schach, it's kosher. However, chaytet begadish, you take a haystack and you carve out a void for your sukkah. In the Mishnah, we have it in a few daf, it says eino sukkah, which the mashmos means that midiraisa, it's not a sukkah. Why? Because midiraisa tasav eloimina asui, you have to create the schach behechsher and not have the schach there, and only afterwards create a sukkah. And therefore, since it's the midiraisa, there's a takana, you can just lift up the whole haystack and it's a good kosher sukkah. And if you undo the bundles, it's kosher. And bundles, says the Mishnah, that they're mutter for walls. Walls are not a schach, that's not the main part of the sukkah. If you use the wood of an arrow, there's two types. One is a zachar, one is a nekeva. One has a base kibble that you put the metal piece in, and one, the metal piece goes on top, the arrowhead. The nekeva is mekabel tumah because it has a base kibble. The zachar is not mekabel tumah. So I would think that perhaps we shouldn't be allowed to use the zacharim because of a gzeira that you might come to use the nekevais. The chiddush is that it's okay. But we have a big chiddush here. Even though, in the nekeva that is, even though the nekeva is going to be full, we're going to put the arrowhead and it's going to stay there forever. Nevertheless, it's considered a base kibble and it's puzzle for sukkah. The way you make flax is you start by soaking the flax in water, and then you stomp on it, you koitesh, and then you comb it out, and at the end, finally, we have something that you can make clothing from. Before you start with the process of putting it in the water, everybody agrees that it's kosher l'schach. After the process of combing it, everybody agrees that it's possible for schach. There's a in-between process called hushni. The Gemara says we don't know exactly what it is, and we don't know exactly what the halach is. But the Gemara nevertheless is mesupik. What if you put it in water, you shiur it in water, you soak the flax in water? Is it as if he didn't do anything and lekula alma it's good tzchach, or perhaps it's like the hushni where it's an in-between kind of process and we don't know what the halacha is. The Gemara tells us you could use shushi and shvatzare. They're not food and they're not makabel tumah. Abaye says it's also to use shvatzare, and the reason is because since it has a foul odor, it's going to cause you to run away from the sukkah. We don't want that to happen. Have a wonderful day.